All right, here we go. All right, so the first question is a lot like our pig lab, right? It's got an object that is going around in a horizontal circle, and we've got a string attached to it. Now, it says, of course, on the following dot, which is on the next page, and they didn't give you a whole lot of room, so I'm going to just put it right here. What's one force that I got to put on there? Yep, tension, so it's going to follow kind of the drawing there. I've got a force tension, okay? And the only other one on here should be force weight. Now, it should be a shorter line or a shorter arrow, but that's only because if you think about the upward portion of the tension is not the hypotenuse, right? The tension is the hypotenuse. So you have to kind of think of the force weight kind of being reflected there. Now, this time they didn't have a point for saying this arrow was longer, this arrow was shorter, but they often do. So just kind of keep that in mind. But unfortunately, if you did anything other than just those two arrows, you lost a point. You cannot put centripetal force on there because really, centripetal force is not a separate force here. It's only the horizontal portion of that tension force, okay? So only two forces acting on it. Now, on the next problem, of course, this is going to be the phrase that you guys are going to learn to hate, I'm guessing. Starting with Newton's second law, derive an expression for the speed of the sphere. All right. So, with that, let me see if I can scroll up a little bit. Yep. All right. So, if I'm looking at the speed of the sphere, I can tell right now if they want the sphere speed, I'm going to have something to do with centripetal force because that's where the velocity comes in with the equation. But the first thing I did was actually set up tension on the y because I can tell where I'm going to set things equal to each other. So again, if this is my sphere, right, I know there's my tension, here's my force weight, okay? I know that the top portion of this is going to be equal to weight. So I'm going to just say force tension Y is equal to force weight. That's one thing that I can set equal to each other. The other thing that I can set equal to each other is this horizontal portion of the tension. So I'm going to say force tension X. And what's that equal to? Centripetal. Awesome. Force centripetal. Now I'm going to just expand on both of these. So forced tension in the X, now keep in mind my theta is here, right? So this is going to be forced tension sine theta. You guys okay with that? Okay. Equals mv squared over r. And since I want to get it just down to tension, or I'll explain why we get it down to tension here in a minute, but mv squared over r sine theta, okay, which again is almost exactly like our pig lab. Okay, now let's go back and expand on the y portion. So my force tension in the y, we could also think of it being on kind of the left side of that triangle, like right here, right? Either one works. But that would be force tension cosine theta. You guys okay with that? Okay, force tension cosine theta is going to equal my mass gravity. So even if you didn't know or didn't think to solve for tension, hopefully at this point you're seeing that tension is in both equations, right? Which is normally a really good sign that you're going to have to set them equal to each other. So I'm going to take my force tension equals mg divided by cosine theta, and I'm going to combine these two, set them equal to each other. So I've got mv squared over r sine theta equals mg over cosine theta. So I can cross out a few things. I can get rid of the mass. The mass is the same on both sides. Okay, and it wants me to derive an equation for velocity. So I'm going to solve for v squared. So v squared equals g r sine theta over cosine theta. So far, so good? All right, sine theta over cosine theta is tangent. So one more here, GR tangent theta. Now here's the only thing, when I look at all the terms I'm allowed to use, R is not in there. So I need to now solve for or substitute something in for R. Now we looked at the tension force as, or this line up and to the left, or up and to the left, okay, as tension. And as long as we're talking about tension, we can look at that and set it equal to, you know, centripetal force or whatever. But I can also use it to find the radius. So if I look at this tension force instead as like the length L, how could I say what is R equal to then in terms of L?
L cosine, L sine theta.
Yep, L sine theta. All right, which means I'm going to substitute that in for R. So one more here. I've got V equals radical G L sine theta tangent theta. All under the radical. So that's my final answer. I'll circle it in red. Probably the hardest one on the quiz right off the bat. Draw a free body diagram and derive. Are you following me though with what I did? And again, it's so much like the pig lab. And we've already seen we already saw a question on the multiple choice that was like the pig lab. There's another question in here like the pig lab. So plan on seeing that again on test day too. The whole reason why I bought those silly pigs to begin with was because of how much they like this idea.
What's the variable after G?
L.
Oh, okay.
That's the L from, yeah. So G, L, sine theta, tangent theta, all under the radical. Any questions on that one? You sure? Okay. All right. Question 2. Now I have a sled on a slope, and it says the sled is going down a rough ramp at a constant speed. Now the constant speed is kind of a big deal there, right? That's a big idea, so I made sure and circled that. All right, first one, it says the sled, when sliding down the ramp, is at a constant speed. Draw and label arrows that represent the forces, not components. Okay, so the first thing I've got is force weight. Okay, what else do I have? Sorry? Friction. And since it's sliding down, we're going to actually have friction going up the ramp. Okay, I've got one more. What else is going to go on there? Normal. And the normal is going to be perpendicular to that slope. All right, so I've got force weight, force friction, and force normal. So here it is, A or B1, starting with Newton's second law, derived. There it is, that whole phrase again. Now we're going to derive the expression for force friction exerted on the sled in terms of m, nu, and theta. Okay, well there's two things that I think I could set friction equal to be honest. So force friction, we know, is equal to mu force normal. All right, so mu, my force normal, now here I am, I'm going to start adding to this drawing, but officially you shouldn't, right? So my force normal is reflected, that's right here. I didn't want that, sorry. There we go. It's reflected right on the bottom there. And we could say that this is mg cosine theta. You guys okay with that? Because whatever my theta is here is going to be here. So if mass gravity, force weight is always going to be my hypotenuse. So mg cosine theta is going to equal the force friction. So you could have said mu mg cosine theta. Okay, it says that I'm allowed to use all of those and physical constants. However, You could have solved this a different way, and both would have been accepted, or should be accepted. If this is moving at a constant speed, that means my force of the weight parallel to the incline and my force friction have to be equal to each other. So I could say my force friction is equal to force weight parallel to the incline. So to expand on that, I would have mg sine theta. You see what I'm saying? If this is my friction going up, and this is the part of the weight going down, if it's at a constant speed, those two forces have to be equal to each other. And this has to be sine of this force weight. You guys good with that? College Board actually only gave one answer, but if you have one of these answers and I somehow missed it, because College Board only was accepting the mg sine theta. They didn't include the other one, and the other one's correct as well. So both of those would have been accepted. Questions?
That's only for the first.
Yeah, for the first part. Yep.
I couldn't tell which one which part of each of these I lost points on.
And they combined them. They combined 1 and 2. So I can take a look at it afterward because you should get something tangent theta, I think, on the other. But let's keep going and see. All right. So now we have part B2, which also says derive an expression, but this time they want the coefficient of kinetic energy or friction. So what I can do is set these two equal to each other because I just said these are both equal to force friction. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put mu mg cosine theta equal to mg sine theta. I can cross out the mass on both sides. And remember, now I'm solving for mu. So mu equals, we can get rid of the g too. Didn't notice that. We can get rid of the mass and the gravity. So then I end up with sine theta over cosine theta, which we know is tangent theta. So that was the final answer for part 2. So again, the first part, B1, I would have accepted either of those for force friction, and then for part 2, you had to set them equal to each other, and then solve for mu. You guys okay? Like I said, these two derived parts are probably the hardest part of this whole quiz already. All right. Let's see. Now, for the graph on the back, it said it was at a constant speed from time 0 to time t. So I'm going to just draw a straight line across because it said it started at VO originally, right? And then from there, you should have a downward slope because eventually this thing is going to slow down because of friction and come to a stop. All right. But the last part, any questions about that one first? Okay. Now the next part, though, says, how would this graph change between T0 and T1 if I increase the incline? So you got to think through this. If this incline, as is constant speed, if I raise the incline, it's not going to just have a higher constant speed, it's going to have an acceleration, right? So now your forces are not balanced, which means we have a net force, which means we have an acceleration. So you're not going to just have a higher straight line. What you're going to have is an incline. So your new line would look something like this, because you're going to increase your speed going down there because it's no longer constant. And then this would go down on the other side. So you had to justify it, and you would have to justify it by saying there is some kind of force net involved, right? Because if you increase the incline, you're going to have a force net, and if you have that, that means you have acceleration. Okie doke. Any on that? Okay. Springs, yay, we can cross those out. All of it. That was a long one too. Okay. All right. Now we have a ball of mass M attached to a string of R, and it's going around at a constant speed. Okay. Now it says the speed of the ball is increased to speed V2 such that V2 is higher than V1. The ball is again swung so that it moves in a vertical circle at a constant speed. So what do you think? What's going to be the relationship between force tension 1 and force tension 2 when I increase the speed?
Force tension 2 would be greater than 1.
It is. And your justification is it's so much easier if you just give an equation. So if I just say your force tension is actually your force centripetal, well, force centripetal is mv squared over r. So if you say that there's a direct relationship there between the velocity, or I should say a positive relationship, as velocity increases, my centripetal force is going to have to increase, which is my force tension. So justification with a formula often says a lot without having to write a lot. But if you can just say, hey, you know, this is on the numerator, and therefore if I increase that, that's going to increase tension, that should be a good explanation for that. All right, and here's this lovely phrase again. Starting with Newton's second law, derive an equation for the tension in the string Ft1 as the ball moves in a vertical circle with a constant speed of v. Express your answers, blah, blah, blah. And I'm solving for tension. Okay. So up here at point P, all the way here at the top. So I have two forces on this. I have force weight, and I have a force tension. Okay? Which means my centripetal force is, because they're both pointing towards the center, my centripetal force is going to be the combination of those two. Force weight and force tension. Okay, now it's asking for tension in my expression, so I'm going to solve for force tension, which gives me force centripetal minus force weight. So I have mv squared over r minus mg. And get rid of this if I can. Make more room. Okay, m, v squared, I'm pulling m out, basically. There we go. Force tension equals mv squared over r minus g, and it's minus g because it's at the top. If it were at the bottom, we'd be adding g, right? Because that's when you feel heavier on that. Okay. I think that was it. Yeah, any questions on that?